guys, it is April from Getting Hooky With It. Today I wanted to share with you all of the books that I received or bought in October. I have quite a lovely collection here and I'm really excited to share them with you, so let's get into it. The first book I want to talk to you about is something I got at a Value Village, and it is The Paris Architect. Now, one of you, and I cannot remember who in particular, told me that if I like World War II fiction, I should be reading The Paris Architect. So when I saw it at a Value Village, I knew I had to pick it up. And honestly, the storyline of this sounds absolutely wonderful. This is about an architect during World War II. He agrees to create a hiding place for a very wealthy Jewish man. But he has to do this obviously under wraps because the Nazis are trying to round up all of the Jewish people, as you know. He has to do this and also evade the Nazis. So it's a really dangerous thing for him, but he could make a lot of money from it. And so it's about that story. And the cover is so intriguing. It's this little girl, you can tell she's Jewish, she has the star. She's peeking out from, I think, a hiding place. And so I want to know the story very much. So I picked that one up. I went to a library. I haven't been to libraries a lot to look for library book sales lately, but I lucked out and got The Little Friend by Donna Tartt. Now, I still haven't read any Donna Tartt, which I'm really hoping to change in 2019. I'm actually hoping to make it one of my goals to read books on my shelves from authors that I haven't read at all, and make a point of it. So Donna Tartt is one of those people. And The Little Friend sounds really quite creepy. This is about a family in mourning. On Mother's Day, a little boy named Robin Dufresne was found hanging from a tree in his parents' yard. Years go by and no one has found the murderer. And so his sister, Harriet, decides that she is going to go and look for the murderer. And now that sounds a little bit like Dead Girls, which I loved. And Donna Tartt's writing is really wonderful. I read the first couple of pages and I could just tell like this woman can write. So that is The Little Friend. It sounds also like there's a bit of I don't know if it's a haunted house story, but it's got a bit of that kind of vibe to it as well. So it sounds great. Now this next book is really because of Mercedes from Mercy's Bookish Musings. She was reading House of Glass by Susan Fletcher for the autumn readathon, and it just sounded fantastic and right up my alley. So gothic. So the lovely people over at Virago sent this my way. Like, this is one of the most beautiful books that I own now, and the story inside also sounds just compelling. So this is set in the backdrop of World War I. We are in Britain and we're following a woman named Clara who has been hired to go to this house, this beautiful mansion, and she's there to take care of the garden. And I think in particular she's there to take care of this glass house, and she's supposed to fill it with exotic plants and everything. And she gets there, it's a beautiful home, and she can tell there's something wrong with the house and it just feels unloved. So over the course of her time there, she unveils the secrets of the house. It just sounds so gothic and so lovely. So I'm really happy to have this on my shelves, and I'm gonna read that soon too. Another book I was kindly sent, Europa got in touch with me because their book, A Winter's Promise, has come out in the US, Canada, the UK. This was a really big book in France. It's a children's or YA fantasy book. It's kind of supposed to be like the French Harry Potter. Now, there's so many references to Harry Potter and comparisons to Harry Potter. I don't want to go in looking for a Harry or Hermione or a Ron. But it's supposed to be that kind of big over in France. And they sent this to me, and I'm so eager because this is a part of a series. I can't remember how many books are in this series, but this is obviously the first book. And this is a book in which people live in different worlds, and different people in different worlds have different gifts in a way. So we follow Ophelia, who's able to pick up objects and read them, and I think read the person who owns them. She's also able to travel through mirrors, and she has been basically told that she's going to be marrying this man or boy, and she goes to his world with him, and she realizes that she's going to just be like a pawn in this political game, and I don't think she wants to stand for that. And it sounds really wonderful. This to me screams winter, obviously, A Winter's Promise. Like I really think I'm going to read it this winter, maybe even December. So I'm very, very happy to have this one on my shelves. It's been getting a lot of good buzz. So there's that. Next, I picked up I'll Be Gone in the Dark by Michelle McNamara. I've already read this, but I loved it so much that I wanted a copy of my own. I listened to this on audiobook. Now, the audiobook was wonderful, but I feel like I missed out on certain things. You get extra things in here, extra images of people, some of the victims, and you just get a little bit more. And I'd like to actually go back and kind of look through it again, because this case just is so fascinating to me. It's about the Golden State Killer who went for years without being caught. He murdered a lot of people. He raped a ton of women, and he was only caught very recently. And this is by Michelle McNamara, who sadly died before she was able to complete this book and before he was caught. And this was her hunt for this killer. She committed so much of her time. She had a blog about it. She was interested in true crime in and of itself, and so she had a blog about a lot of true crime, but she really narrowed in on this case and was trying to solve the case, or cases I should say. It was really wonderful, so I'm really happy to have that on my shelves finally. Now this next one is the winner of the Giller Prize, which is a prize in Canada, and it's called Bellevue Square. And the premise of this is so interesting and weird. It's funny because my sister, oh, this is a while ago, she had this book and was about to like pass it on to me. And I remember saying, no, I don't think I'm interested in that book. And I think I had an idea that it was an entirely different book, and so I regretted it and I went ahead and bought it myself. This is about doppelgangers. I love the concept, and I'm kind of horrified by the concept of doppelgangers. We follow a woman named Jean Mason, and she lives in Toronto, and people have told her repeatedly that she has a doppelganger, and this doppelganger hangs out in Kensington Market a lot. And so she decides to go looking for this other woman who looks exactly like her. And it's neat because, I mean, everyone's heard that there are people in the world that are your exact, like, twin, basically, doppelganger. And a lot of people say I look like their cousin, or that girl on SNL. Anyway, all that to say, I love the concept of someone out there looking exactly like you and meeting them, maybe. It just seems really neat, and so I grabbed that one. I was sent The Last from Simon & Schuster, and this is a like post-apocalyptic kind of vibe, and it sounds like so much fun. So in this book, we're following a historian named John Keller, and he goes to Switzerland on a work trip. And while he's there, the world ends. Like, there is a nuclear war. London is hit, Washington is hit, Munich and Scotland hit. And there are not a lot of people left. And he is staying in a hotel with other people. And while he's there, sadly, the worst hasn't happened yet because people are being killed at this hotel. And it sounds a bit like Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. It's got that vibe, but in a post-apocalyptic world. It just sounds absolutely wonderful. This book is coming out in April of 2019, so you've got a little bit to wait, but it sounds wonderful. And of course, as soon as I saw Emily St. John Mandel blurbing this, she is the author of Station 11, she said, "This is a chilling and extraordinary book." I knew I had to read this. I had to. So thank you to Simon & Schuster for sending that my way. Next up, we've got a World War II fiction book called We Were the Lucky Ones. And in this book, we're following 3 generations of the Kirk family. It is 1939 and World War II is just about to start. And they're trying to live their lives. People are getting married, people are having babies. But then World War II occurs and they find themselves in the midst of it. And sadly, they're sent kind of all over the world. They're just trying to be safe, each and every one of them. So I'm hoping that you find them coming together again, but I imagine there's going to be quite a lot of sad stories in here where people don't make it out of World War II alive. But I've heard really wonderful things about We Were the Lucky Ones. It came out, I think, 2017 or 2016. And I'd heard so much about it, I knew I wanted this on my shelf, so now I have it. At another library sale, I got Like Water for Chocolate by Laura Esquivel. And I have heard a lot about this one as well. This is almost like a classic. It says it's a novel in monthly installments with recipes, romances, and home remedies. I've just heard lovely things about this book, and I feel like I'm hoping it will be like a bit of a comfort read for me, so I picked that one up when I saw it. Another ARC that I received just a couple of days ago was The Stranger Diaries by Ellie Griffiths. This was sent to me from Raincoast Books, and this is another kind of gothic story, and I'm so drawn to gothic stories. I don't know what it is about them, but they're just so appealing to me. They're kind of comforting and also unsettling, and for some reason, that's just the kind of book I want to read all the time. I just do. So this follows a woman named Claire Cassidy, and as a high school English teacher, she specializes specifically in a Gothic literature writer named R.M. Holland. One year, one of her colleagues is found dead, and there is a line from Mr. Holland's most famous story, The Stranger Left by the Body. So Claire is trying to come to terms with the fact that her favorite author and favorite friend are linked in this horrifying, horrible way. So she doesn't know who the killer is. The police think that it's going to be someone close to her friend and maybe to Claire as well. And she doesn't know who to talk to about something so gruesome and upsetting. So she starts writing in her diary, and that becomes like her friend essentially. And one day she's kind of flipping back to old diary entries, and she finds a line that she didn't write in handwriting that doesn't look like hers at all. And it says, "Hello, Claire, you don't know me." Like, who is that? Is it herself? I don't know. It sounds amazing. This one is coming out on March 5th of 2019, and I cannot wait to read that. Sounds so good. I also picked up The Last Mrs Parrish by Liv Constantine. This is a thriller. I like to collect thrillers, and I've heard really great things about this one, and it's not domestic, which is great for me. I'm learning I don't really love domestic thrillers, so this is a book about a woman named Amber Patterson. So Amber feels invisible, and she's tired of living her life that way. And there is a woman in her community that she's always looked up to and she's always been very jealous of, and that woman's name is Daphne. She has a husband, she has 2 young daughters, and so what Amber does is she infuses herself into Daphne's life. She becomes Daphne's best friend. She goes traveling with them, but there's secrets in Amber's past that come to light in this book. It sounds a little bit like a stalker story between 2 women. That's one of my favorite subgenres of thriller, is any sort of stalker story. And I like it when they're between women for some reason. I like scary women. So I'm imagining that Amber's going to be scary. So yeah, it looks great. It was also one of Reese's picks for her book club, Reese Witherspoon, so that's always a good sign. Another book that I was sent from Penguin Random House Canada is a book I'm most definitely going to be reading for this Christmas, and it's Half Spent Was the Night by Amy McKay. Now, Amy McKay wrote The Witches of New York, and this is basically a short story. It's not long at all. It's under 100 pages. And it is about the witches from the Witches of New York gathering together between Christmas and New Year's. So they gather together and tell ghost stories, and that is a tradition that existed for so long. Near Christmas, you would tell each other ghost stories, and I love that idea. This is one of the most beautiful books that I own now. Like, the end papers are so lovely. I was just totally blown away by the packaging of this, and I'm sure I'll be blown away by the story as well. I haven't read The Witches of New York, but I feel like I can probably get away with reading this, and maybe it will encourage me to read The Witches of New York. I've got it on my shelf, so I can do it. So yes, if you're looking for like a lovely Christmas book, this might be the one for you. Another book that I bought is Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna. I've read only The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, and I felt okay about it. I wasn't blown away. Sorry if you can hear Libby barking in the background. But this is about a group of kids, essentially. It's 1974, and it's about a girl named Kate. She's in grade 8, which, do you remember grade 8 and how difficult that was? That was not an easy time. And this is about her relationship with another girl in her class named Tully Hart. And they are the best of friends. They're the best of friends for 30 years until an unexpected betrayal tears them apart and puts their friendship to the test. And I would like to know what that is. I like stories about best friends, and so I think that this will be a good one. The last 2 are scary books. The first is a book sent to me by Penguin Random House Canada. It's Dracul, and this is a retelling of Dracula. It's like a prequel to Dracula following Bram Stoker. I tried to read this and I could not get into it. I really tried though. I read like 70 pages and I wasn't blown away by it. So I don't think that I'm going to be picking this back up or that it'll be staying on my shelves, sadly. But you know, don't take it from me, I haven't even read Dracula, which is, you know, the inspiration for it. So I did pick up Dracula for myself because I would like to read this classic. So it might be that with Dracul, I just didn't like the, you know, the vampire genre. I have no idea. So we'll see. So don't let like me not liking this stop you from picking this up, because if you liked Dracula, like this might be the best thing for you. I don't know if I like Dracula or not, but now I will read this probably next Halloween and see what I think. So those are all of the books that I picked up in October. It was a A ton, but not insanely. I think I'm like showing some restraint, and I've sent some lovely, lovely books from publishers, which I'm so grateful for. So let me know in the comments below what book you were most excited about getting this October. I would love to know, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye guys.